Hi, in this video you will learn how to make basic designs with the use of the Marquee tool. By the end of this video you will learn how to make designs like this, and also this. These are just a few of the examples that I came up with. With all the techniques that you will learn, you can make way more. As always, practice makes perfect. Let's begin by creating a new document. Click on Create New. You can choose a preset of your choice or set your own dimensions. For this example, I'm going to make a document of size 1920 by 1080 pixels. Once that is decided, click on Create. By now, you should be familiar with the toolbar, which can be seen on the left of the screen. The Marquee tool can be seen second below the Move tool, as you can see on the screen. If you right-click on the Marquee tool, you can see a drop-down menu which shows the different types of Marquee tools. The Marquee tools have multiple uses, but in this video we're going to focus on making basic designs by using it. And for that, we're mostly going to use the rectangular Marquee tool and the elliptical Marquee tool. Before we begin making basic designs, let's take a look at how the Marquee tool works. Select the rectangular Marquee tool. When you left-click on your mouse and drag it across the canvas, you can see that a rectangle consisting of dotted lines is formed. This is known as a selected area. When you right-click on the selected area, you can see various options that can be used in the selected area. We will use some of the functions as we start designing. Now that we know the basics, let's start designing. Let's design a smartphone. To begin with, create a new layer. I'm going to name it Frame. Select the rectangular Marquee tool and draw a rectangle like so. Right-click on the selected area and click on Fill. A menu box appears. Click on the Contents drop-down menu. There are a few options under this as well. The foreground color makes use of the foreground color swatch. The background color makes use of the background color swatch. And the color option allows you to set a color of your choice using the color picker. For this example, I'm going to choose a light gray color. Once your color is decided, click OK to apply it. As you can see, it fills the entire selected area. Press Ctrl D to deselect. Now that the frame is done, let's make the display next. Create a new layer. Let's name it Screen. After that, select the rectangular Marquee tool again and create another rectangle within the other one. Once you're satisfied, right-click on the selected area and choose Fill. This time I want a black color. And since my foreground color is already black, I'm going to choose the foreground color from the drop-down menu. Click OK. As you can see, the screen is black in color. Next, we have to make a front-facing camera and a home button as well. Let's make those next. Create a new layer. Name it Home Button. Select the elliptical Marquee tool. As you can see, when you draw a circle, it may not come out as a perfect circle, but if you press Shift while dragging the selection, it will make a perfect circle like so. Make a perfect circle. Let's position it in the proper place. You can move the selection using the Marquee tool. Right-click on it and select Fill. Choose Color. This time I want a darker gray. Once you choose a suitable color, click OK. Ctrl D to deselect again. And this will be our home button. Now for the camera. Create a new layer. Name it camera. Select the elliptical marquee tool again, and let's draw out a smaller circle while pressing shift. A small camera cutout will be fine. Let's move it to the center. Right click on the circle and fill. I'm going to choose a foreground color again. Once that is filled, Ctrl D to deselect. Now the basic phone is finished. Let's create a shadow. For this, choose the elliptical marquee tool again. I want the shadow to be flat, but as you can see, it's only going to one side. If you hold the Alt key while dragging the ellipse, then the selection will be distributed equally to both sides. As you can see, one side is done. Right click, fill, choose color. I'm going to choose a gray again. Once that is finished, press Ctrl plus D again to deselect. And there you have it, a smartphone. Next, we're going to design a slice of bread on top of a plate. But first, I want to change the background, so select Rectangular Marquee tool and drag it across the canvas. Create a new layer and name it Background. We're going to right click on the selected area and choose the Fill option. I'm going to choose a color option and select a pale red pastel color. Click OK, and as you can see, the background has changed. Press Ctrl D to deselect. Create a new layer and select the elliptical marquee tool. We're going to create the plate base. I want a perfect circle. But as you can see, it's not how it comes out. But if we click the Alt and Shift option together, a perfect circle can be drawn. Once you're satisfied, right click and choose Fill. I'm going to choose the color option again. Go for a bluish white color. Click OK. I like to align things in the center of the image. So what I do for that is press Ctrl A to select the entire canvas. As you can see, the entire canvas is selected. On the top menu, you will see these icons to align horizontally and to align vertically. Now it's perfectly centered. Press Ctrl D to deselect. Let's create a new layer again, but before that, let's rename the other layer. Let's create a new layer. Select the elliptical marquee tool again and draw another circle using the Shift and Alt keys again. I'm going to fill, color, and let's choose a darker color to differentiate it from the base. Click OK. I want to make sure if this is centered as well. So we'll do the same thing. Ctrl A, Move tool, align horizontally and align vertically. Now it's perfectly centered. Select the rectangular marquee tool. We're going to create a piece of bread now. Click on a new layer. Oh, I forgot to rename the other layer. Once that is done, let's rename the new layer. I'm going to name it bread. Press Shift while doing the marquee tool to create a perfect square. When you drag it, it'll become a perfect square like so. Once you're satisfied with the selection, right click, choose a fill option, and I'm going to go with color again. Choose a color that resembles the color of bread. This is the color I'm going for. Once that is done, we need to also make a decision on the crust of the bread. So for that, we're going to choose stroke. In the stroke menu box, we can see different options. There's the inside, which describes the stroke going into the shape, the center, which goes inside and outside, which goes outside of the shape. We're going to choose center for this and choose a suitable color to resemble the crust. Click OK, and I'm going with a 15 pixel width. As you can see, we can have the crust of the bread. I want to center this again, so I'm going to Control A, align horizontally and align vertically. And there you have it, a slice of bread on a plate. Next, let's design a desktop monitor. Once again, I want to change the background first. So let's select the rectangular marquee tool and select the entire canvas. Create a new layer and let's name it background. Right click on the selected layer and choose fill. I'm going to use a light blue color here. Click on OK once that's done. Click on the lock icon that can be seen on the layer panel. When you do so, that means the layer is fixed in place. It can't be moved. If it is unlocked, you can. So let's have it fixed in place. Next, create a new layer. Let's name it the monitor frame. Select the rectangular marquee tool and drag out a rectangle. Right click on the selection and choose the fill option. Choose color. I'm going to go for a gray color. Click OK and Ctrl D to deselect. Now I want to align this, so let's press Ctrl A to select the entire canvas. Choose a layer you wish to align. Select the Move tool and click on the Align buttons on the top menu. Ctrl D to deselect. Let's lock this layer as well. Next, create a new layer and name it Screen. Select the rectangular marquee tool and now let's create a rectangle within the other one. Right click on the selected area and choose Fill. This time I'm going to choose a black option from the menu. It fills the area to black. Ctrl D to deselect. Select the rectangular marquee tool, create a new layer and name it Stand. Drag out a selection for the stand. This should be below the monitor frame and monitor. Right click and choose Fill option. Choose color. I'm going to go for a darker gray as compared to the frame. Click OK and Ctrl D. To align this, we'll use the same method. Ctrl A, choose a layer, select the Move tool, and click on the Align buttons on top menu. Now let's create the base. Create a new layer and name it Base. Select the elliptical marquee tool and draw out a selection from the bottom of the stand while holding the Alt key. Right click on the selection and choose the Fill option. I'm going to go for color and the same color as the frame. But this layer should be below the stand. So in the layers panel, bring it below the stand's layer. To create some depth, let's duplicate this base layer. Right click on the base layer and choose Duplicate from the menu. Click OK. A new layer is made called the base copy. Let's move this layer under the original base layer, but we need to change the color of this layer. To do so, hold Ctrl over the layer's thumbnail. Notice how the cursor changes. Click on it and now you can see the selection is made. Let's right click and fill. Choose the color option and let's choose the same color as the stand. Click OK. Bring the layer below the original base layer. When you zoom in, you can see that there are gaps in between the two base layers. To fill this out, we need to use a rectangular marquee tool. With the rectangular marquee tool, make a selection between the two base layers and fill it with the same color of the second base layer, that is, the base copy layer. Choose Fill, same color of the same base. Now you can see that the space is filled. Now let's make a table. Select the Marquee tool, create a new layer, and let's name it Table. This layer has to be the bottommost layer after the background, so let's bring it down. Drag out a big rectangle. Right-click on the selection and choose the Fill option. Color, and let's choose a brown color to resemble wood. Once you've selected a suitable color, click OK. To give the table perspective, select the Move tool. On the top menu, there's a checkbox called Show Transform Controls. If you click that, you will be able to transform the given layer. Another way to do so is to press Ctrl T. After that, right-click and choose Perspective. Make the necessary perspective changes. After making the changes you wish to do, click the check mark on the top menu. You can press Ctrl T to transform and resize the layer too, like so. And there you have it. You have created a desktop monitor.